welcome to the session today. My name is Paul Munns. I'm the Corporate Account Manager with the Corporate Governance Institute, and I'm joined by my colleague, Fergal O'Neill, who is an educational consultant here as well. So to set the scene for everybody, we run these informal information sessions every 2 weeks, just to give delegates from different parts of the world an idea, or potential delegates an idea of who we are, what we offer, and what's involved, okay? The session will normally take about 10-15 minutes to do the presentation. We leave some time for Q&A, and we'll be here as long as people have questions that need to be answered. We record the session and we'll share with you later on today, okay? So that's the introductions out of the way. What we'll try to cover, I'll give people a broad overview of who the Corporate Governance Institute is. I'll also let you know who our typical delegate is. So myself and Fergal have conversations every day about different corporate governance topics, strategies, ideas with different types of individuals. And we'll let you know who those people are, whether it's existing, experienced directors, non-exec directors, C-level leaders, or people who have very specific governance responsibilities in their organization. And we'll also talk about the different sectors that come and study with us. So we'll let you know about the course options and delivery, the exams. So a lot of the essential information that you need to know if you at some point in the future want to embark on the diploma with us. So just a few minutes and an overview on who we are. Okay, when you provide a piece of education globally, piece of certification, you have to let professionals know who's involved in the organization, what's your mission statement, why do you exist, who builds the product, who verifies, who validates the product, etc. So we'll let you know a bit more about that. Our essential mission is to democratize the world of corporate governance, try expand out good corporate governance education and qualifications to people all over the world. What is best practice, what is best process, and use a really experienced industry-led faculty to help us build the programs and certifications. So we've tried to put into a syllabus, into a structured format, to define and codify what it means to be a governance expert or professional, or an executive or a non-exec director. So anyone that's at the boardroom table, or anyone in an organization who feeds into what happens at the boardroom table. I'll talk a bit more about that as we go through. So it's a code of practice, and it's built on a few different items that we have built: program, membership, exams, which I'll take you through. So I suppose when you have a piece of education, it's good to let people know what's your authority to say that you're a certification standard in anything. So these are some of the reference points that people can look into and research in their own time, and we'll quite happily share more information if you ask for it, okay? So basically we've been set up by two individuals, David Duffy and Anthony Quigley. You can go check them out, connect with them on LinkedIn. You'll see David is a vastly experienced corporate governance expert. He's published books in the space. He's got a career in governance that spans over 30 years. And it's David who's helped build our syllabus and our faculty and our governance advisory council. So that's a collection of industry practitioners who serve on boards, have different levels, different areas of governance expertise, who help us build our programs, who help us deliver the programs, and also put some industry validation onto what we do. Anthony Quigley is an education technology specialist entrepreneur. So Anthony has built another global certification standard in digital marketing. The Digital Marketing Institute is one of the organizations. I previously worked there myself. They're a good reference point to look at what you could do when you build one program in one area, one particular area, and only use industry expertise and give it to the rest of the world. So right now, the Digital Marketing Institute trades in over 100+ countries and is a genuine global professional standard. And we have a very similar model here. So our faculty, which you can find on our website, is a collection of men and women who have a lot of corporate governance expertise. They sit on boards at the moment, either in an executive or a non-exec director capacity. They'll often provide a lot of governance expertise or consultancy to brands, and they work across multiple industries and sectors. So it's the faculty who help us build our structured syllabus and deliver the syllabus as well, whether it's live online or self-paced. From an industry validation viewpoint, we have a governance advisory council. Again, we're very transparent. You can have a look at our website and see who sits on that advisory council. We're always expanding it, so there's representation from different parts of the world. And again, this is a collection of industry experts and practitioners who sit together twice a year to review our product and ensure it meets current best practice or what's required by current or future directors in terms of corporate governance best practice. So they'll review what we've done previously, and they'll also give us direction as to what we should add in the future. Should we change the current program, or should we add new governance qualifications, which we are about to launch some in April. I'll tell you a bit more about them as well. Again, that's come from work with the Governance Advisory Council. So like they're an external steering committee. Again, it's important to have that third-party verification of what you're doing. From an academic viewpoint, our accreditation partner is Glasgow Caledonian University. So again, if you build a syllabus and you have exams, it's important if you want to issue an official award that you get an academic partner to verify what you do. So Glasgow come in and they've run quality assurance checks on our faculty, our lecturers, our syllabus, our exams, and they're happy to award a professional diploma in corporate governance with us. Okay, so Glasgow Caledonian, again, it's another important piece of third-party verification into what we're doing. So that's where the authority comes from. Visually, you can see our core offering is a diploma in corporate governance. We'll walk through the program a bit in a few slides. What people get certified upon is completing the diploma. There's different formats, but everybody does the same exam, the same set of exams to get that consistent standard in place, no matter where you're sitting on a board in the world right now. We run a professional membership community and library, which is part of your diploma package, and there's an opportunity to renew on an ongoing basis. Professional membership is important for that just-in-time learning. So we do a lot of weekly and monthly like live sessions, master classes, lunch and learns, where we talk about disruptive areas of governance like digital transformation, cybersecurity, ESG, where there's a lot of learning still to be done. And governance professionals around the world want to consume and protect themselves and the organization or the boards they're sitting on or going to sit on in the future against these emerging topics, but also check in with the more standard areas of governance and look at case studies from around the world of good and bad practices or processes in corporate governance. So membership again is there to solidify your after course learning and protect you into the future. I should say as well, if people have any questions, please feel free to pop them into the Q&A or chat function throughout or at the end. I have some standard questions we get asked, which again, I'll bring up at the end of the session. So to give people a feel for the diploma overview. So when we sat down to build this program with David and the faculty just over a couple of years ago, they had to figure out, well, what are the minimum areas that we would need to train and prepare people if they were going to sit on a board tomorrow or next month or next quarter, or any professional who reports into a board or is in the governance ecosystem of an organization. What are the fundamental areas of corporate governance that they need to be trained in and be aware of so they can, be a successful director or, be contribute to the overall governance conversation and best practices and processes in their organization. So this is what the faculty came up with. We'd like to take professionals through to a good introduction into corporate governance. What is modern day corporate governance? When did corporate governance start to take on greater importance in business? And generally, you will find out a little bit about the history of some scenarios that happened in different parts of the world towards the end of the 70s into the mid 80s, when due to a lot of financial malpractice and some really destructive things that happened, companies and legislation had to be brought in that provided better protection at board level for commercial or any organization handling large sums of money. So we take you through where has modern corporate day governance come from, and we look at some of the new acts and legislation that's been brought out in different parts of the world. And then we get into, I suppose, the structures that relate to board and good governance in an organization. And again, I'll always put this in. We have people from large multinational organizations taking our programs. We have people from state bodies, healthcare systems, the NHS, HSE in Ireland. We have people from charity, NGOs. We're all about what's best practice and process wherever a group of people meet to build good systems of governance, whether it's at board level or the ecosystem that reports into board level. So we look at things like governance architecture. What does a good governance system look like? How should a board be structured? All of the supporting committees that report into boards, audit, risk committees, whatever committees are in place, and what stakeholders, are involved in the wider governance ecosystem and the actual board itself. So the architecture is very important. Two modules that link or balance each other out would be a module on the role of a company director or executive director versus the role of a non-exec director. So again, based on delegates we speak to, and we get very experienced delegates who work in financial services sector, work with large brands, and often they can end up on boards where the induction onto that board or the training and preparation for being on that board, there's often not enough clarification as to what their specific role is as a non-exec director versus an executive director. So again, we look at this in great detail. So whatever role you have at the boardroom table or you want to have in the future, you're fully aware of what your personal responsibilities are. What are your personal risks? What are your fiduciary duties? How do you protect yourself first and foremost? And then also what's your role within the wider organization. So again, from feedback from the marketplace, there can still be confusion sometimes as to the role of a company or executive director versus non-exec. We look at an area like corporate governance culture. So that area of learning is becoming more and more important around the boardroom table as boards are being encouraged to have more diversity across the boardroom table. What is good corporate culture? And out of that comes a lot of really important essential or soft skills. So you'll often see some of our lunch and learn webinars will lend towards areas like how do you make good independent decisions, and what happens around the boardroom table? What happens if the boardroom turns toxic? How do you manage that scenario? So culture is becoming a really, really important topic as boards are encouraged to become more diverse. And a lot of that push for diversity is based on economic data and research. For example, a lot of the stock exchanges around the world, now it's their policy to write to all the listed companies and ask them why certain diversity quotas are not being met, because all the evidence proves that a diverse board makes better decisions. So publicly listed companies, for example, are being held to much higher account by the stock exchanges, or you might see investment funds or national or international banks also question why they should give extra funding or investment into organizations that don't have good, well-structured, well-balanced boards. So culture is very important. Areas like governance handbook and reporting, again, they can be areas that often get overlooked on a boardroom. Again, we've had some very experienced directors who are on multiple boards might come onto the program and say, actually, our governance handbook hasn't been updated in maybe 3 to 4 years. Again, there's a risk there. There could be scenarios happening at the boardroom table or in the wider governance conversations or systems or processes that if they're not covered within the governance handbook, it produces some risk for the organization. So it's an important area. Reporting, you can always look at improved reporting systems. So there's a lot of practical documents there and scenarios we take people through. So whatever their role is in the governance ecosystem. Then we get into areas like financial matters, very specialist area, or risk. Again, just to give people clarity, we often get delegates who have come from this background. They come from financial background. They're financial experts, they're accountants, and they're very good at reading financial reports. So it's no problem to them to fit into this module. But we also get a lot of delegates who don't come from a formal finance background. Their skill set's in a different area, and that's okay. This module is designed to take anybody in the governance system or at the boardroom table through an area of learning so that you can actually read financial reports at this level and be comfortable asking good questions, analyzing the answers, because it's really important that finances of an organization are interrogated at boardroom level, no matter what size the organization is. So again, financial matters is there for people who it's built in such a way that you can take your knowledge from low level, or it's not been an area of your expertise in the past, and get yourself to a certain level of competency so you feel comfortable. at the boardroom table, looking at financial documents or asking good questions. Again, risk, very particular specialist area. So some individuals will come from a pure risk background or compliance background. But again, we have some delegates who it's not been an area of their professional career. So again, it's understanding how to measure risk, understand what risk appetite is, and look at risk as a really important area of governance for current and future strategies within the organization. And then we finish off with a couple of strategic modules. So increasingly, again, with a lot of corporate clients in different countries, generally speaking, boards are being asked to do a lot more. They're being asked to become more agile, more dynamic. There's new areas coming into the boardroom table, like technology, like ESG. So evaluating the performance of a board, it's important that the governance systems look at, well, what are we trying to achieve? How many board meetings are we having a year? And what outputs, what results are we getting? Are we getting, deadlocks or gridlocks in the system? So evaluating performance has become important. Boards are trying to become more dynamic, notwithstanding that governance has to move at a certain pace too. You've got to take your time, and you're coming to really important decisions. And some decisions will take some time. That leads into the strategy conversation. So we have a lot of C-level leaders or business leaders who are used to working, with an annual strategy or quarterly strategy. And they will want to understand, well, at board level, you've got to look further into the future, okay? In terms of strategy. And sometimes you're looking at 3 to 5 years down the line. What are the big disruptions coming into our industry? And what steps do we need to take to ensure that we can grow or, maximize any or minimize any losses we might have to incur because of these disruptions that are coming. So it's trying to look further into the future. So that's a flavor of the program. It's built in a way, it's built for busy professionals. So this will be the sort of the minimum level of learning we'd expect that if someone wants to improve their governance knowledge and take on more responsibilities in their organizations or move on to a board currently or in the future, or just improve their performance on existing boards or feel more secure in their non-exec director career. Thanks for those questions, Katrina. I'll answer them at the end there. Thank you very much. So just a bit on delegate personas so people can get a flavor of who takes the programs. Again, it's a combination of very experienced directors. So we can often have a lot of governance knowledge in class, which is good. It lends to great breakout sessions and peer-to-peer conversations, and you can learn from your colleagues. And everyone has their own area of expertise. So they may have a lot of governance experience in a particular sector or industry that they bring into class. Again, just going from speaking to delegates, which we do, and we talked to them before, during, and after programs. An experienced director might take this program because they want to consolidate their experience of being on a board for the last 4 or 5, or could be 10 or 12 years. They may want to expand their director portfolio, and they may want to update themselves. And what's the current modern day best practice in certain governance scenarios or areas. And maybe learn more about some of these new disruptive topics that are coming onto board agendas. And again, like I said, those areas like digital transformation, ESG, environmental, social governance are becoming bigger topics on the boardroom agenda. They're difficult topics. No one person can hold all the answers. So experienced directors just want to learn gradually about how they contribute to the conversation in these areas at the boardroom table. So that's the practicing directors. We get a lot of C-level business leaders who may be sitting on a board in executive capacity. So they might be taking the program to improve their rapport relationship with the current board that they're on, understand more about what the board wants from them as a senior management person in the organization. Generally, a C-level business leader may also be looking at transitioning into a board position in the next 6 to 12 or 18 months. So it's moving away from a senior executive position and building a career as a non-exec director. That's something we have a regular conversation with that individual about. And again, the program is just part of their journey to that transition, so they feel well prepared to make it. Generally, from speaking to experienced non-exec directors, your first 1 or 2 board positions often come from doing a piece of learning and just letting your network know that you're now open to taking positions on boards. And the first 1 or 2 conversations about board appointments generally come from the business connections you've built over the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And you've just let that network know that you're open to having conversations about taking those positions. We obviously get company secretaries, which, you know, can be, people have that as a full-time career, or sometimes the CFO is the co-sec, or a legal lead or general counsel or legal counsel could be co-sec. So again, anyone that's, you know, you're so integral to what's happening at the boardroom table and governance in the organization, a company secretary will be a typical person who might want to upgrade their knowledge, get some certification, keep taking on more responsibilities, also maybe look at sitting on more boards in the future. And then I suppose the bottom two personas can often be the same person, but there is differences. So obviously the next stage, you're not on a board, but you might be considering that you'd like to get onto boards in the future. So we call you an aspiring director. Again, you might come from an area of governance expertise or specialty. You're taking the program to expand your governance knowledge so that you could become, you know, a director in the next 6, 12, 18, 24 months. We even see some people planning 3 to 5 years out. We also get a lot of people who initially, they're not, their core objective for the program is not to move on to a board immediately. It's simply to take on more governance responsibilities in their organization. They see opportunities for promotions or to work on projects where a company's trying to revamp their governance system. And that's why they may take the program. Yes, being on a board is something they're open to. It's just not necessarily part of their core reason for doing it. Sorry, Katrina, I'll just answer your question there very quickly because you just said you want to leave a little bit early, which is fine. Good question. So I'll just answer this question, then I'll go back on the presentation. The academic level. So this program is a professional diploma. Okay, it's mapped onto the European qualification system. It's not mapped at degree level, okay, or QQI. It's mapped through through Glasgow Caledonian University, and you'll probably see different academic levels, whether it's Ireland, the UK. Fergal, do you want to come in and just give people just the academic leveling? But it's a professional qualification, and it's below a degree. But Fergal, you don't want to come in on that point there, because I know you're very good on that.
Yeah, no apologies, Paul, there. I was on mute and I have to jump off the call in a minute, but I can follow up in an email. Just the professional diploma in corporate governance, it's awarded by the Corporate Governance Institute. The diploma, it's accredited by the Glasgow Caledonian University. It's at level 7 on the Scottish qualifications framework. The level 7 indicates the level of complexity of the program. Now, on the Irish framework, it would be level 6. On the UK framework, it would be level 5. And on the European qualifications framework, it's level 5 also. So we've sought global accreditation for this diploma. Now, it is a professional diploma, so the people we get are time poor that only have a certain amount of time to spend with this diploma. So we provide a lot of useful insight, and you can, I suppose, dip a little deeper into each module, more so than what the exams will examine. But if you want further depth, we provide enough material there to do so in each module. So it's a very useful course designed for professionals with a great deal of flexibility in mind.
Thanks, Fergal. And I suppose, again, just to elaborate on that for people, a lot of our delegates who come to us are quite experienced professionals. They probably will be choosing this program because of the time commitment. It fits their schedule. It's very much industry-led and focused. The academic award's important, but the level less so, okay, in the sense that a lot of people taking our programs have probably studied the postgrad level previously, or master's level, and this is a very, very specialist piece of industry-led certification, okay?
Yeah.
So go ahead, Fergal.
Oh, sorry, just a question here from Adele. I'm going to have to jump off the call in a moment, I'm afraid. But could you outline what you think the key differentiators are versus the other programs out there, such as the Institute of Directors, a Chartered Directors Diploma? Well, I'll just start this off. Flexibility would be an enormous one. We deliver it in 3 formats. The people that are on this diploma are quite time poor, quite senior in their roles. They have to balance an enormous amount of social, work with social life. This is by far the most flexible option. It's all delivered online, 3 different options: boot camp, online on demand. You can do it over 6 months, or the self-paced 11-week program, which consists of live webinars scheduled each Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on which course you choose, from 6:30 to 9:30. So it's quite flexible. Those sessions are also recorded. Another thing would be cost. The fact that we deliver this online allows us to considerably reduce the cost. So it's a lot more economically viable option as opposed to some of our counterparts. So we feel that we deliver a lot of value for what we provide. You also have access to a network of people across the globe going forward that are of like mind. You have a peer-to-peer community that supports you. You can publicize your qualification on LinkedIn. We give you the means to do that through our membership spotlight. It's a very useful tool for highlighting that you're open for new positions, and we'll share that among our network also. They would be just some of the benefits there. Paul, maybe you want to kind of highlight some more.
Oh, thanks very much, Fergal. I'll expand a little bit on those, and I'll just finish off the last couple of slides for people. Okay, so again, just to let you know about the workload, this question gets asked. There's thanks, Fergal. There's as we said, there's 11 modules of core learning, so it's 33 hours of learning. In terms of extra work and study, that can depend on your level of governance experience and what areas you want to expand upon yourself. So on average, you may be doing another 20 to 25 hours of extra reading and preparation for the exams. You'll see that, you probably see this from, we have different formats available, which we'll cover. But the exams are, there's 3 exams, and they're online, computer-based exams. So it's for typical of professional certification. Exam 1 is based on module 1 to 5. Exam 2 is based on module 6 to 11. And exam 3 is based on the case studies that we teach out during the program. They're the pass, merit, and distinction, the grades there. At the moment, we've put about 430 people through the program. It's growing rapidly. We'll do double that this year. We'll treble it next year. Our model is we have people studying directly with us, and we also have education partners that we're growing in different parts of the world, okay, who will deliver the program or market or sell the program in a different way, for example, universities. So that's where the volume comes from. But they're the exams, okay, and how we certify people. 95% of people who take the program to date have followed through to final certification and passed and got their grade or got their certification. That's a very high completion rate. Again, it's probably, it's because of multiple factors. It's a well-built product. Generally, our delegates are, because it's such a niche space and we've quite responsible learners, our delegates seem to be a learner who, once they start a program, they'll finish through to completion. So we're happy with that. We want to keep those high certification rates going. There's different options to take online. So again, it's very much part of our USP to integrate the program. Sorry, Del, yeah, what's the percentage? The pass with merit or above. So I'll just go back there quickly. So you'll see there 50% pass, 60% merit, 75% plus distinction. Everybody wants to get the best grade that they can, okay? But generally, if you follow our brand on LinkedIn, you'll see our delegates will publish their certification to let their network know that they've got certified, they're open to more opportunities. There's probably less weight put on what grade did you get, other than that you have a certification. Again, we exist. There's not a lot of corporate governance qualifications in the world. There are some. The reason there's not a lot, it's not an easy area to build good training in, because you have to have faculty with a lot of experience, and those people don't grow on trees. So you got to find them, then you got to build your product. Because of the lack of volume and certifications out there, there would still be, in most countries around the world, a lot of people who are operating as a director or a non-exec director without any formal qualification in the space. So that's the gap into which we fit. It's like a de-risker, best practice. But getting trained and being certified is only one part of your journey into being a better governance professional or director. You still have to have the experience, the credibility, and there's a lot of other factors in play there. So the options available to people, it's all online. Okay, so you either do live instructor-led on Zoom, or you can do self-paced, on-demand, interactive, like a Netflix style experience where you go through your materials, audio, visual, written research papers, and get through. It's the same program, same syllabus, same exam. It just depends on your learning style and what your preference is. Some people like to study for a week-long, really intensive burst online and go through and get the training done in a week and then do their exams maybe in the next 1 to 2 or 3 months. Some people prefer to do one live lecture per week and they'll study every evening, once a week. All the times here are sort of GMT times, but we have people from outside Europe take the live sessions too. And then self-paced, where you just fit the program into your own schedule of work and personal lifestyle responsibilities. Some upcoming dates. We're nearly finished, a couple of slides, and then people can just ask questions. I'll have a couple of questions that I'll bring up for people as well if you don't ask them. These are the dates coming up. I still have March 23rd because some people do choose to join a part-time program a week late because we record everything. So all our live sessions get recorded to help with your revision, or occasionally people might miss a part or a full lecture, which can happen. We have bootcamp coming up in April, another part-time Zoom program coming up on May 24th, and we have another bootcamp coming up in July 25th. With online, we run 2 cohorts every month on the 1st and the 15th of every month. And we also have dates coming in September and October for live sessions. Just request them for myself or Fergal. Basic steps to enrollment would be, if you haven't already, just have a one-to-one consultation with myself or Fergal. It's good to have a general corporate governance qualification. You might have some questions that you don't like asking or having answered in front of a group of people. You might want to talk more about your own personal journey. That's fine. Just select the program that you want to do, and a 10% booking deposit secures your place. I want to talk quickly about membership and some new products we've launched, which we're rolling into a March offer. It's just an example of the Governance Advisory Council of what role they play. So membership, as I said, it's there to be a huge resource of information and let people have their own just-in-time learning materials and what way you like to consume information. So it's a combination of written materials, audio materials, live sessions, master classes, and important as well, because while the general market trend would be, we've seen this from some corporate clients we work with some NHS brands. Organizations are taking a more formal meritocracy built approach to appointing new directors. So they're going into market, they're looking for people like who come with very specific skill sets. What's their qualification to be here? Let's take you through an interview process. Having said all that, because of governance and the nature of governance, it's often one experienced business professional reaching out to another experienced business professional thinking, let's have a cup of coffee or let's have a chat online. We think, there's a board position coming up here. So, there's still an element of networking and building connections in the space where you want to, connect with other people who are interested in corporate governance with a view to maybe securing future board positions. So we're trying to harness that in our professional community. So get lots of peer-to-peer engagement, have breakout sessions, have online networking, and also allow controlled access from recruitment specialists in different parts of the world. The majority of our delegates come from Europe at the moment. We have had people outside Europe take our program, and we are going to build, communities outside Europe or across Europe through partners. I would say of the 420 delegates so far, majority would be coming from UK, Ireland, or mainland Europe, and then, but we've had 20 plus countries take the program. So really, we're just trying to provide controlled access and help people who might be trying to find suitable board directors in the future in whatever country that they're in. So that members directory is something that's an ongoing piece. A membership also has CPD built in as well. So just the last slide, and then I'll open up for more questions, and people can feel free to ask what they want. Because we've mentioned some of those up and coming areas of governance that are difficult for boards to address, particularly ESG. So we've built some new certifications. They're not as substantial as our full diploma. These certifications would be maybe 4 to 6 hours of content with a smaller exam. they're more of an additional elective you might add to your diploma. So we've built these courses, and they're going to be launched in April on ESG matters for board, cybersecurity matter for board, digital transformation matters for board, and the role of an effective company secretary. So any professional that decides to pick a course that they'd like to do in the future this year, before the end of March, can add one of these certifications to their diploma package at no extra cost. Again, these are just reflections of our work with the Governance Advisory Council. And later this year, we'll launch a full diploma in ESG as well. Again, that's just to reflect the dominant part of the conversation that ESG will probably start to consume around governance, society, and the environment. So hopefully that's a good comprehensive overview for people. If you have any more questions, please feel free to pop them in now. A good question that people often ask is, how much weight does your certification have in the global marketplace? That's a fair question to ask. So we're a relatively young certification brand. The organization was set up in September 2020. So as I said, we've had about 420, 30 delegates at the moment, and we're a growing certification brand. The market trends would suggest that there's, as I said, all research would point that a lot of there's a lack of certifications out there, a lack of choice for people, and there would be still a lot of directors who don't have formal training or certification to get onto the board. And we see the market over the next 5 or 10 years that increasingly, you know, that enhanced scrutiny as to who's on a board, what's their qualification to be there, boards becoming more dynamic, having a lot more responsibility, trust onto them in that landscape. Some good solid professional certification will fit nicely there. So that's a flavor of who we are. Has anyone else got any questions they'd like to ask before we go? There's no rush, we can stay as long as required. Sorry, Adele, I don't think I answered your question properly there. Now, what's the percentage to pass with merit or above? It's a good question. I don't have that to hand. I'd have to speak to the course management team and the certification team. My impression would be the majority of people getting certified would be getting a distinction or a merit, okay? And again, it's just reliant on the fact that we're getting a lot of professionals who've got a lot of good business experience behind them. So they've come across governance scenarios in some way, shape, or form. So that's a good baseline of knowledge they bring into the program. Then the program itself is very well built. It's delivered to a high quality, high spec. So at the end of that learning, you know, most people are going to get reasonably solid scores, but I don't have the exact number to hand. No problem, Adele. You're very welcome. So I'll be here for a few more minutes. If people want to pop in a question, as I said, if there's any questions or you'd like to have a more personalized conversation about, you know, where you're trying to go or what you're trying to achieve for yourself on behalf of your organization, just pop myself or Fergal an email and we'll book in a consultation. Again, we can give you some feedback. We can share what we're doing. I have a very open, transparent email that if you want know more about our brand and who we are and where we're trying to go, we're very transparent. We'll let you know exactly who invests in us, what countries we're moving into at the moment, who our partners are going to be or are, or we're quite happy to share that information. Right, I think we've got all the questions answered, so I will end the session now. Thanks everyone for attending, really appreciate it. And we'll generally have a recording available by close of business today, so we'll pop you out a recording in the session if you want to go back over any of the points, or just email myself or Fergal, okay? So have a lovely day, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Take care.